Hi friends, welcome back to Calm in the Chaos Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Davine and I homeschool 4 kids ages 10, 11, 12, and 14. We are in our 4th year of homeschooling and my kids are kind of in 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So last year of elementary school and middle schoolers. So if you're interested in seeing what our schedule looks like with those aged kids, stick around. So today I'm going to be sharing our schedule or sort of our daily routines or just how I set up our week as a homeschool family. I'm going to be showing you a screenshot of kind of our schedule. It's more of a routine than a schedule, but it just kind of lets me know how my day is going to flow based on what day it is, because different days of the week we have different commitments. So I sort of have to figure out how to fit our homeschool around that. I'm also going to be showing you my whiteboard, and that is sort of our group time stuff. And it's where I keep track of what we're doing for each day for our group work. I do need to write it down because otherwise I will forget. So it's a nice visual reminder for me on what I'd planned for the day. And then the weekly schedule is just a reminder for me of what's happening that day of the week and where I'm fitting in different pieces. So before I get into this, I do want to put out the disclaimer. This is how we homeschool. This is how homeschool works for us. It is probably a lot more structured than many homeschool families, maybe a little less structured than some homeschool families, but we do have quite a lot of structure in our homeschool. Now, saying that it's structured doesn't mean we're not flexible. Of course, every day is different. Things come at us different on different days, but this is sort of, I guess, an ideal week or what we expect in our week, and then we have to adjust from there. If I did not have this, I feel like my days would be super chaotic. I have kids with ADHD and autism and just kids who like to know what is going to happen. So this kind of lets us have a sort of an understanding of what to expect for the day, for the week, for a typical school week. And yeah, just keeps us moving along. So if you feel like this is super scheduled, you don't have to do things this way. If you're new to homeschooling, you don't have to do things this way. I do have 4 kids. And like I said, we have different needs than some families. If you're just starting with a young child, you definitely don't have to schedule your day like this, but this is just what works for us. And I will say that our schedule does not change a whole lot from year to year at this point. The little items within the schedule will shift around, but we do follow a very similar pattern. Now that we're in the 4th year, really, I just take last year's schedule and I kind of put in all our commitments and when those are scheduled, because those change, and I pretty much follow a very similar routine. So I'm going to start screen sharing what's on my computer here and start talking through sort of what our days look like. So let's do this. So here we go. Here's our schedule for 2023, 2024. And this is sort of just starting. We have been following a similar schedule to this. There's a few things that have not actually started yet, and that is our parent partnership program and actually some of the therapies. They're just starting this week. But overall, we have been following this schedule, and those are just going to be a few extra things that are jumping in to our schedule. So Monday morning or Monday, I have 2 upper middle schoolers. I don't really consider my 6th grader to be super middle schooly at this point. He still is very much like an elementary student. So my 2 daughters who are in 7th and 8th, they definitely have a bigger workload and they are doing a lot more things on their own. So I needed to schedule a time when I can meet with them and talk to them about anything that they might be struggling with. And so I started a Monday meeting with Mom. So my first one here is at 9 o'clock. This year we're starting at 9 instead of 8:45. It just happened that way. We have been starting at 8:45 for the past few years, but I like a 9 o'clock start better, and so do my kids. And so far we've been able to get things wrapped up by 12:30, which is my goal for all the stuff we need to do together or anything the kids need help with. So we've been starting at 9. So 9 o'clock on Monday, our first thing of the day is my meeting with my 7th grader. And then we go into our group time. So this is sort of what our group time looks like. I'm going to take you over to my board to show you how I have that set up, but that's kind of the section here. So I'm gonna finish talking about Monday, I think, and then I'll jump back over here. So we'll do our group time there. And then after that, I do my meeting with my 8th grader. And then I plan to add some writing lessons with my boys, and this would be a time to do it, but I have not done it yet. So that's just sort of on the schedule for if I'm doing the IEW writing, I'll need to sit down with my boys. So that's sort of my plan. We like to eat lunch at about 12:30. That seems to work for us, that amount of time. And then we're about ready for a break. And then we go into our quiet time, silent reading, independent study. So that is when I'm doing this. This is our quiet time. We have 1 hour where kids are in their rooms, hopefully being quiet, doing something quietly. They can be reading, they can be resting, they can be working on their schoolwork, whatever they want to do at that time. And then right after that, we go into, usually, depending on the day, an hour of their tablet time or outside time. I call it quiet time part 2. So they're able to be out and about, but generally not asking me questions because I still need to focus on whatever I need to do. So that's sort of my 2 hours of mental break where I can work on videos, where I can work on editing, where I can work on anything for my businesses, anything I need to do in my household. And then I just have free time after that on this Monday. And then I typically go do delivery driving for DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, Walmart, Spark. I try to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I usually leave at about 4:30. That's when my husband gets home from work. So that's me leaving for work there. And then we sort of have dinner, preparing for dinner, general cleaning, free play, get ready for bed, read. So reading, I still have 3 of my kids reading to either my husband or I most evenings, about 10 minutes just to work on fluency and vocabulary and just, building all that. And then the kids go to their bedrooms at about 8:30. The boys do have lights now so they can read in their beds a little bit. So probably lights out by 9:30 for them. And then my 2 girls just kind of go to bed whenever they're tired. We generally don't do anything unless they start getting grumpy, then we might enforce a certain time. So that is our Monday, and we don't have math on Monday for 3 of the kids. So the 3 kids that are doing CTC math are also kids that I need to sort of stand over their shoulder and watch them do their math and make sure I step in before frustration ensues. So they don't do math on Monday. My 7th grader, who is doing Think Well math, she does math 5 days a week because it's just better that way. So Tuesday morning, that is usually what we start with every other day of the week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we start with math at 9 o'clock. I have 2 kids going on 2 different computers, and I sort of bounce between the 2 of them. And then when one of them is done, then I'll get the 3rd child onto one of the computers. So that child will be working on other independent work while he's waiting for a computer to be free. So that's sort of what we're doing there. So the reason why I don't have math on Monday is just because of just a little more me that is needed, and I need that time to do the meetings with my girls. So we just decided that that's how we're going to do our Mondays. Skip on math so that I have time to meet with them. So then Tuesday, about 10 o'clock, we'll start with our group work. So I'm going to take you over to my whiteboard and just kind of walk you through what our group time looks like. Okay, so I had to darken my house a bit just so that there's not a huge amount of glare on this chart, but this is how I set up each day and get ready for group time. I write the day of the week up here, and then this is the order that we do things in when we have our group time. And that's typically about an hour after we did our math and some independent work. We'll do group time, and then we'll move back into independent work. And that really helps my kids because it breaks up the day a bit. So we don't start with our morning time. We do that sort of in the middle. And that's really what has worked best for us for the last few years. This year I did try to mix it up a bit, and I thought, let's just start with group time, and then my 7th grader who likes to go off on her own and do her own work, then she can go off and do that, but it just wasn't working. So we very, very quickly switched back to having this about an hour into our day. So WWN is World Watch News. That's a very easy way to get all the kids gathered. So we've been doing that. That's about a 10-minute news show for kids. We have really been enjoying it. They don't like missing a day. If we miss a day, they will want to go back and watch it. So if you're interested in that, I will link my link in the description box below if you would like to check it out. And then we have Bible. So Bible is, we're doing sunlight reading. So we're reading out of John right now. Usually read a verse or half of a verse. And then we're doing a devotional, and I have 2 that I'm alternating between. So that's what we do for Bible. Then we do our either language or morning basket next. So I'm not sure, I kind of randomly pick which one we're doing next, maybe based on how I'm feeling. And then I have here Chinese because we are flipping between Spanish and Chinese. We've been doing Chinese for 3 years now, and then Spanish is new for us this year. And I've always done it 2 days a week, our language. So now we just have 4 days a week of language, and we kind of flop back and forth. I don't have a specific day that is one or the other. I just kind of go back and forth. And then when we have our extra student here, so we have she's now 9, she was 8, a 9-year-old girl who joins us once in a while for our homeschool. I kind of switch some of these things up because she is younger and she doesn't know Chinese, obviously. So when she's here, we always do Spanish. So then we might do a few extra Chinese in a row just to kind of even that out. And then we have our morning basket, and you'll have to come back in, I think, about a month to see how we're liking what we have in our morning basket. I do have a video showing what I have in my morning basket, so I will link that below as well, sort of me picking out my morning basket. But generally, I will do 2 things in my morning basket, and we just kind of go in a rotation. And the only time I don't really go in a rotation is when, say, the little girl who's 9 joins us, then I might pick something more appropriate for her, or I just don't feel like doing something in the rotation that day. That doesn't happen too often, but I do switch it around sometimes. So we'll do a morning basket. And then after we're done our language, this is where we take a very short break. When the 9-year-old is with us, we will do a longer break. We'll do a 10 to 15 minute, get a snack, they like to go jump on the trampoline right now. So just a little bit longer break when she's with us. But we stopped taking those longer breaks kind of midway last year because the kids weren't really doing anything with it. They weren't going outside. They were just kind of standing around. So our break now is go grab a snack and sit at the table and be ready for me to read, or maybe look for something quiet to do because I will be reading our read aloud. So read aloud, it's about 10, maybe 15 minutes. We don't do a whole lot of that. It's just a chapter of whatever we're reading at the moment. And then we have our group subjects, and those I rotate through. I basically, let's see, I have a little checklist here. So here's my checklist, and I have things in the order, in the amount of rotation that I would like them to do. So for example, this is geography, science, history, geography, science, history, health, geography, science, history, geography, science, history, health. So obviously I want geography, science, and history to happen twice as many times as we do health. And so really, I will generally look at what are the next 2 that I want to do, put them on the board, and then just make sure I'm prepared for them the next day. So usually I do this sometime during the day or evening the night before. It takes me almost no time, right? Change the word, change what I'm doing here, and then what are the 2 subjects we're doing, and just double check and make sure that I have whatever I need. Most of the curriculum I have is open and go, so it's not a lot of planning. And then down here is just a verse here. A verse that we're working on, that's part of our Bible time. So during our Bible time, we are listening to a song CD And right now we're memorizing Psalms 51. So going through the 14 chapters, and we have 2 verses about once a week that we're working on specifically. And at the end of that week, my kids are saying those 2 verses to me. So that's kind of what our group time looks like on a daily basis. Depending on the day, sometimes I will cut out one of the group subjects if we have a shorter group time. Sometimes, like maybe Fridays, I like to do our art for morning basket. So that's sort of a Friday thing. So it's not our regular morning basket, but it's our art. But in general, this is sort of the flow of our morning basket. And I do have to write these down because I will forget, especially read aloud. I almost forgot that today. I'll forget what order we're doing things in if I don't have it written here, or what language we're doing that day or stuff like that. Okay, so I'm back on my computer here. And so we have Tuesday, we'll do math, and then we'll do our normal group time, which is here to there, finish up with independent work and lunch at normal time, and then everything else is pretty much the same. Now, what I didn't add here is my girls have started dance, so I should probably add that to the schedule. They leave at about 4:15 and get back at about 6:30. So that is pretty much taking girls to dance, picking girls up. They're there for 2 hours between the 2 of them. So that is on Tuesday and Thursday, and I have not included that on our schedule yet. So that would be those 2 there. Wednesday is a bit different. Wednesday is going to be our busy out of the house day. So trying to get as much math done as we can that day, hopefully mostly get math done, get some independent work. I would have them pack some independent work, especially the girls, because the boys have several things they have going on in the afternoon. So it's kind of get ready and get some independent work done and pack whatever we can. Then we head out at about probably 10:30. We have to leave for the parent partnership program, and they're going to be doing just 1 hour of classes. So the 3 middle schoolers are going to be doing sculpture art, and my elementary student, he's going to be doing solar system. So they have 1 hour there, and then we head over to our church grandpa and grandmas for lunch. That is one of our favorite things to do every week. And so we'll have lunch there, which works very well because then one of my sons has therapy at 1 to 1:15. And so I'll drop him off, and then I have to take my other son to the school for speech or OT, whichever is first. And then I'll go pick up that first son and take him to the school for his speech. So that is sort of our therapy speech time, and I'll just be running kids back and forth. And so I'm not sure what my girls are going to do at this point. Maybe go to the library and get some work done is my guess, or they'll just sit around in the car and do work as I'm driving kids back and forth. So that is our Wednesday this year. And then we have our get home, do our quiet time, and then they're going to do they'll do their tablet time, outside time, things like that. And then I'm going to be probably leaving for work. I haven't been working as many Wednesdays as I did because summer is slower, but I think as things pick up, I'll probably be doing it a bit more. And I have also not added that my 3 kids who are in middle school now go to a youth group on Wednesday nights. So that is somewhere in here as well. But this is sort of just what our typical night would look like here. Thursday, we have our math. We have independent work. After that, we do our group time. As you can see, it is shorter. So maybe that's one day that I would just do one of our group subjects, just depending on the time, because we need to get our lunch done soon and quickly because 2 of my kids are taking choir at the school this year. So we have to eat lunch and get those 2 kids there. My 7th grader is not doing choir, so she can be at home doing schoolwork at that time. I will have to take my 5th grader with us for sure. So not sure what I'll be doing with him during that time. Probably just going to a playground or something like that is my guess while they're in choir. And normally I would not have done this. I would not have we wouldn't have picked classes that are on 2 separate days or even not back to back. And I prefer 1 hour. Sometimes when there's 2 good classes together, we'll do 2 hours. I do really try to guard our home time, guard our school time at home, because I just find it very valuable what we're doing here at home, and I don't want to just be too scattered. So the reason why we did this was because my oldest has said for a few years now that she would like to be in choir, part of choir, and I just haven't been able to figure out what would work for her. So this came up, this opportunity, and so I'm like, okay, I'll make an exception this year. And then my son decided to join her as well. So yeah, so we have an extra thing here that I would normally not be doing, this, going to the parent partnership program twice. So this is for this semester, and then next semester things will change and we'll see what happens then. So then quiet time, tablet time, free time, and then once, like I said, the girls go to dance somewhere around here, and then we close off our day pretty similar here. Friday, same thing, start with math, independent studies, our group time also cut short, and an early lunch. And that's because we have kind of it's our homeschool group or our church homeschool group, where the homeschoolers in our church have been getting together since we started homeschooling, which was during COVID. And we usually try to do stuff outdoors, like go on nature walks, go to the beach, go on trails, and sometimes we'll try to do some more structured things in the home. It does get quite rainy here in the winter, so we don't know what we're doing this year yet. But at this point, we're just getting together at parks, and it's just beautiful right now, so we get together outdoors. And that ends about 3, maybe 12:30 to like 2:30 maybe. And then we get home and do the regular, all this stuff. Sometimes my kids have the Good News Club at a church in town. So this year it would only be 2 of my kids. One volunteers, the older one volunteers, and then my oldest son would be going. My younger son, he can't go because I can't stay with him, and he's the one who has autism. And he just doesn't follow directions or do what he's supposed to do, and I am working. So 2 of my kids would be going to that. My 7th grader is not too into it, so she'll stay home and do whatever she wants to do. And yeah, so that's our Friday. Pretty much that is Monday through Friday in our home on a regular day. Obviously, like last week we had testing, so we took Wednesday off from school, and I take the first Monday and Tuesday of every month off, so we just don't do that. So this is just sort of what we do if we have a 5-day homeschool week, which might happen maybe half the time if we're lucky. But yeah, so thank you for joining me today. I hope that was helpful or entertaining to see what we do in our homeschool and how I have it organized. It's just, I'm always trying to find more time to do, especially the group subjects. I feel I don't like it when we can only do it 4 days a week, or morning basket, we can only do it 4 days a week. Well, that's okay, 4 days a week. But if we get to 3 days a week, which has happened sometimes with group work and morning time, I really don't like it. So I'm really glad that right now our schedule is allowing for 4 days a week of each of those. We'll see as my girls still have a little bit more work to be added to their independent work if we're going to be able to keep things the way they are. And as it is, there's those 2 days where the group subject time is only half an hour, which makes it very hard to do more than one. It's half an hour, like it takes about 20 minutes at least per group subject. So I would like to have an hour and a half to do 2 group subjects whenever possible, but it's not always possible. So yeah, that's our current schedule. It should be pretty much the same, I would think, for most of this year based on our past experience. Maybe a tweak here and there, and then even next semester or in February, things might change a tiny bit just because of the parent partnership program and what classes we're taking. But everything else will be pretty much like this. So I would love to hear, how do you schedule out your homeschool day? Does it look like this at all? Or are you guys much more go with the flow? Or like, how do you fit in everything you want to do with your kids in homeschooling? Maybe comment below and let people know maybe all the different ways that people kind of schedule out their homeschool days. I didn't mention that I have times on the schedule. That does not mean that we start and stop based on those times. This is an estimate of how much time each subject takes. Sometimes we do need to have a hard stop for lunch because we have something happening, or even just 12:30 is sort of our hard stop. We have a hard start in the morning at 9 o'clock just to keep everyone going at the same time. But most of these things are not hard. They're not hard stops and starts. This is just an estimate of how much time things are going to take, and just helps me be realistic about what we can fit into our school day. All right, so thanks for coming, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye, everyone.